Great,
So
thank you.
we are now recording. Okay, so hello everybody. I'm Patrick McKeag. I'm the product manager for XYZ Homework. I'm going to do a little demo of the XYZ Homework platform. Feel free to stop me, ask any questions if they arise as I go through the different features and workflow of the templates. So we started XYZ 2009 to address some of the concerns with the publishing industry, namely the high textbook prices, lack of quality online video lessons, and the dreaded 3-year revision cycle. Our focus is only on mathematics, 2- and 4-year schools, and we like to say we have a tightly integrated package between our textbooks, videos, and online homework. Many people are interested in XYZ because of our pricing, so I want to talk about this in 2 different slides. First, prices are just lower. Full color books range from $68 to $98. Or the digital only option is currently $45 directly from us, or with bookstore markup a little bit more. The second slide here on pricing talks about how our model is different, and that students have access to all of the ebooks that we publish. They can take multiple courses on XYZ Homework with that pass. So it's an even greater value for schools that use more than one of our books. That is, it's really a 12-month subscription to all of our content. Let's see. Number of schools using our products now. I'm not going to go over those in too much depth. Currently, XYZ Homework, the overview, it's a cloud-based platform. It's algorithmic homework based on open source platform, which means the standards are open. There's no flash. It's going to work on an iPad or Android tablet or even a phone. Works with all modern browsers, and we're ADA compliant right out of the box with the same website. So what we've done is create templates for each of the products, each of the books that we publish, and these templates are really meant to save schools and people a lot of time setting up their courses. So we have links to the ebook, video lessons, and then we've created assignments for each of the sections in whatever book you're interested in. So it's really a great starting point, even if you're going to highly customize your template. For others at your school, these templates are a great starting place and save a lot of time. So XYZ Homework, the overview, is based on the iMathis platform. We like to say it's the fastest growing. If you're familiar with MyOpenMath, we kind of have a different interface, but kind of the same engine that MyOpenMath uses. A lot of the same features as MyMathLab. Like I said, it's an algorithmic system, similar to MyMathLab. Extensive settings. It's going to work with an LMS, multiple question types, and a lot of feedback. So let's take a look. I have a template set up somewhere. I'll get rid of the calendar here. So this is a template for the college algebra book, and the majority of the XYZ templates kind of have the same structure, so this would apply to other books as well. So you have a link to the ebook here, and then we see what we call blocks, and a block is just like a folder on your computer. That's just a way to organize information. We open up one of these blocks, and we see all the sections in the chapter. So we see all the sections. We can click on the little plus sign. This opened up what we call the mini lectures. These cover the rules, properties, definitions for that section of the textbook. They play right in XYZ. Students can close them up when they're done. Looks like we have chapter reviews. We have forums preset for every chapter as well. Let's see. So students just click on one of the assignments, and they can see the questions in the assignment here. For the graphing, there's a graphing tool. They can do linear, quadratic, absolute value, circle. Like I said, this is going to work on an Android device as well. We also have radical, simple rational, and exponential, and conics for types. But most of them are 1 or 2 part questions. The way these work is probably what you're familiar with. Students get 3 attempts per question. After the 3rd attempt, the student is shown the correct answer, and then they can try another similar question. So a similar question is going to have really the same instructions, but ask different questions with different values, I should say. So that's kind of the basis for the algorithmic engine and how we've coded these. Let's see. So these assignments are highly customizable. You can change the questions in them or change the settings however you want. If we look at questions here, we see that these questions, first of all, are very closely aligned with the textbook. So the description here shows that this is from the College Algebra book, Chapter 2, Section 2, Question 5. The next one's from Question 7, Question 8. And so you can see there's a very tight alignment with the textbook. So these are the 10. Is there a question?
No, go ahead.
So these are the 10 questions in the assignment. As we scroll down to the second half of this screen, we see additional questions that are in the library and available to assign from this section. So you can see that we have an extensive list of questions. They're aligned very closely with the book. The idea is that a textbook's a good and efficient way to choose homework assignments, whereas maybe an online homework system isn't, as you look at one question at a time. So if you had your textbook in front of you, you can see how easy it would be just to check some boxes of the questions you wanted to assign, then add them to any assignment, and they get added right here. You can rearrange them here, move this up in the assignment. Let's see. You can preview any of the problems. A little preview window pops up. You can see this is quadratic. It's got a help button with a video link. So this video link is going to be a little bit different than the video at the front of the section. These are going to just be the peer video lectures where they just solve this one problem. They take a minute or two, and there's also a Spanish version for most of these videos. So these are just shorter how-to videos, just how do you solve this question. Get them to the assignment. You can see for a question like this where there's going to be 2 answers, there's 2 different answer boxes. So students will know if they get it right or if they get it, which part they get right and which part they get wrong. So when they reattempt it, they don't have to guess.
So are the helps right now limited to videos? There aren't. I know you're probably familiar with the help features in My Math Lab. They have like help me solve this and view an example. So I'm curious if XYZ has anything exactly similar to that, or if the helps are limited to the videos.
Good question. So while some of the questions have a written example, we don't have the Help Me Solve It button. What we do have the ability to message the instructor about a question, and then we'll have a feature that a lot of our users like. It's called Post This Question to a Forum. So I can show you that. So post this question to a forum is very similar to email my instructor or message my instructor about this question. But instead of just being between an instructor and a student, this is going to get posted to the forum, so everybody's going to see it. So we click that button. It posts this question to the forum. It pre-formats the subject line so everybody in class knows that this is question number 1 in section 2.3. Student just posts the thread. It's going to have the student's name here, which is going to cut down on any funny business or inappropriate posts. The system's going to keep anybody else from posting another question about number 1 and 2.3 in a different thread. So it's going to keep the forums organized. And now when we click on it, the math is going to be formatted correctly. The math here uses the same rendering engine as in the assignments themselves, so it's going to be zoomable. So if you're showing this in class on an overhead, you'll be able to see it at the back of the class. And then as we reply, let's see, you have all the ability to format any text you want, upload a file, upload an image if you want to take a picture of something. And then the buttons over here are math specific, so if you want to enter some math, it's going to be calculator or ASCII style math as they type it. Spreadsheet math, I like to call it, but it's going to render correctly. So you can type in equations with some complicated math. Likewise, you can add a graph to the forum pretty quickly. Oops. As long as you can type it correctly. So if you ever try to upload your TI-84 screen, you'll know how much quicker this goes. So you can even add a second graph, change the color, and then insert those. So if this was maybe a solution or some explanation about this problem, now not only does that student have the benefit of the answer, but now everybody in class has the benefit of the answer. So that is the forums. The help buttons turned on by default in these templates. So every chapter has its own forum. So every question from all the sections would post to questions in that forum. So help links or video, ebook. Some questions do have the written example and the ability to turn on or off the forums or just the message the instructor questions for those.
Okay. I think Victoria maybe had a question. I saw a question. It looked like it was a text question. I'm not sure. Looked like it went away, but I saw it flash up for just a second.
Yeah. Do the textbooks have a full suite representative of all problem types of examples for every section? Yeah, I think so. Like I showed earlier, the assignments here are tied pretty closely with the textbooks. So you get a good idea of all the questions here, and then you can choose from any of these. So there should be a number of questions from the textbook. The other thing is that if obviously questions from that section of the textbook would be most likely to be used, but just like with a subscription, teachers are welcome to use any of the 50,000 questions that we have coded in XYZ. So if there's using this book, for example, but maybe you wanted to pull in a chapter from our pre-calculus book for a certain topic, you can just pull those questions right in and use questions from any of our books without limitations. If there's questions that aren't in here, maybe a certain development of slope of a line or some other topic that you like to teach, we have instructors send us worksheets that they've created, and we can code those and make those algorithmic and then put those in your assignment and make them available to everybody else. Does that answer the question? But we generally have a lot of different problem types as well. Graphing, most of them are free response. We do have some multiple choice and a few true false, but most of them are multi-part and free response within XYZ. Let's see. So let's see, the gradebook. It's a full-featured gradebook. It's going to show all the assignments. You can set up the gradebook either by total points or by category weights. You can add whatever categories you'd like just by clicking the button. So we can add a category called quizzes if we want. We can make quizzes worth 60% of the grade. Drop the category weight for online homework down. Save that so you can make this match your syllabus. Let's see. maybe quizzes are something you do in class, so we can add offline grades just by clicking on add. Just give this item a name, call it quiz 1. We can make quiz 1 worth 50 points. Give it a date. It's going to default to today's date, but this is the date at which the system will score these. So if those scores entered after today's date, the students would have a 0. Category, this drop down is going to match the previous screen of the categories and their weights that we entered. And so we added this new category called quizzes. So we want to make sure quiz 1 is scored under the quizzes category. And that's it. If this was your real class, you'd see a list of your students here. You'd be able to enter their grades from the quiz 1 that you've graded. You can upload grades.
And did I hear?
Go ahead.
And did I hear you say correctly that the computer will automatically put in zeros for assignments past the due date?
That is correct. Yeah, so once an assignment is past the due date, these dashes are scored as zeros without any input from the instructor.
And can you speak a little bit about the functionality as far as prerequisites and late penalties?
Sure. So prerequisites, there's a place in settings where we can set the number of a minimum score to receive credit. So many schools have these two items tied together. So maybe you want, if this is a 10-point assignment, maybe you want 80 points to receive credit or 80%. So you can do it by points or percent. And then you can only show after 8 points are received on the previous assignment here. So this will be the condition of release. This assignment wouldn't open until the previous assignment had a score of 80 or 8 points, or however many points you want. Is that what you're asking about for conditional release?
That's correct.
Yep, great.
Yes.
So as long as we're here, you can set a penalty for any work done during a late pass or an exception. So late passes are how we deal with late work in XYZ, and quite a bit different than the way my math lab works. But this is where we can set a penalty for any work done during a late pass. So let me explain the late passes. So late passes for this assignment right now are unlimited. That means we haven't assigned any late passes, but if we did, we could generally either not allow late passes on this assignment or allow late passes. If you want to limit the late passes to a certain number, you can. Very few students actually use more than one late pass, but you can certainly limit those if you want to. And then late passes can be used after up to one late pass period after the due date. So let's look at the late passes. So I'm going to go to the roster, and we're going to choose Manage Late Passes. So the way late passes work is there's a finite number given out to all the students at the start of a semester, and the teacher decides how long a late pass will extend the due date for any assignment. The default is 24. Many of our teachers choose 48 or 72 hours, and they might give 5 or 10 late passes to every student. So the idea is that there's those conversations that go on why students need extra time for an assignment. So teachers can eliminate a lot of those discussions by just saying everybody has 5 or 10 late passes, and they're going to extend the due date for 72 hours. So students go on, they click a little link that reads use late pass, and then they invoke the late pass, and they have more time to complete the assignment. So the idea behind late passes is that they're scarce. So students know they're scarce. They know how many late passes they have. They don't want to waste them. And so they tend to work pretty well. Our people that switch over and use the late passes like they're intended are kind of surprised by how well the scarcity thing works on their students. they tend to do less work late and actually have to use fewer late passes than they would in previous classes. As long as we're in roster, for students who have used all their late passes or don't use a late pass correctly, you can still set an exception for a student. An exception is just like it sounds. It's for a specific student and for particular assignments. So you'd set an exception by clicking a student's name and then indicating how long or what assignments and the new due dates for those assignments. So you still have that control with the exceptions. But late passes are by far the preferred method for allowing late work. Yeah, so looks like there's a question from Victoria. Yeah, so for certain assignments, you could certainly just not allow late passes here under settings. So no more late passes allowed for this assignment. Okay.
In late passes, you can invoke a late pass. You can have a setting for a late pass for a homework or a quiz.
Sure. Yeah, anything you want.
Okay.
And then you could.
And then
Yep.
And then as far as prerequisites go, can you have multi-layered prerequisites? So in other words, like, can you have a prerequisite? Can you have a prerequisite set up as an and prerequisite or an or prerequisite?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Not yet.
So there's right now there's a single prerequisite.
Right. Right.
Okay.
We do have this semester is really the first time we've had a number of our larger adoptions use the prerequisites. They're using them for Emporium style courses. So we're having more and more requests for additional features within that kind of category and that type of class. So we're building some of those features out now. The and or is not particularly difficult, and it's something we have a lot of requests for. But today we don't have it. How's that for an answer?
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, so I'd like to show, I know it's not a training session per se, but the way we set dates, a lot of people like this. There's a couple different ways now. So I'm going to click on the calendar. I'm just going to add a calendar to this course. So the dates are going to auto-populate from all the assignments. So you probably saw, but I went into settings, and you can change the dates for any assignments here if you want. That's going to be pretty tedious for 60 assignments at the start of a semester. So over to the left, we have our mass change items. And so mass change assessments is going to change. Maybe you want to change the number of attempts per question, or not allow late passes, or change the number of attempts, like I said, change the gradebook category. All those can be changed from mass change assessments. But for dates, we're going to choose mass change dates. This is going to bring up a screen with all the assignments in the entire course. So there's some automation features here that really save people a lot of time. So I'm kind of going to go in reverse here. So instead of showing you how to set individual dates, I'm going to pretend that these are dates from a summer semester class you taught, where the chapter 1 was available on 6/5, and now we're going to teach the same class in fall, and this 6/5 is going to be the same as September 25th in this fall class, and then this Friday, we'll just say this is September 29th. So we make that change to one of them. We come over to this action drop down, and we can copy the dates, we can copy the times, but this send down, this first item, changes all the dates by the same number of days, which is really helpful if you're going from semester to semester. So now I'm going to save it. And now we see we have all those dates moved up on the calendar. We can expand the calendar, get a nice visual layout of the entire semester, make any changes for test days or holidays, close it back up. So that's the automation features with mass change dates. I'm going to go back into mass change dates. And so we don't need to change everything. Maybe you just have your calendar set for chapter 1. So we just check the folder for chapter 1, and then nothing in chapter 2 is checked, so we can't make changes to those right now. But I just want to show you how easy it is to just come in and change some due dates. If we want to have these due on consecutive days, just a matter of clicking on the calendar icon and then having those due dates change. If we decide we're not going to teach a certain section, we can click on the show column. So it's either show by dates or show as hidden. So we click on whatever's showing in the column. It toggles back and forth between either hiding the assignment or showing it by dates. So we're going to hide 1.7. And then the review here, let's make this do the 4th. So we just set 6, 7 dates that quickly. I'm going to save it. And now we see our calendar is going to reflect those changes. It's not showing 1.7 because we hid that assignment. If we looked at the gradebook, 1.7 is not there either. So the students never know 1.7 exists. However, if you change your mind, it's very easy to unhide 1.7. We can also delete things, but if we delete things during the semester with student work, it's very hard to get that stuff back. So we encourage people to get used to the hide feature. Let's see. So we have so that's setting dates with mass change dates. You can see it goes pretty quickly. The colors on the calendar, you can probably tell they're like a stoplight. So 1.1 is due today, so it's red. 1.2 is yellow because it's due tomorrow, and then they get darker green as they get farther from the due date and they have more time. The gray indicates these assignments are not available to students yet. If you remember, Chapter 2 didn't become available until Monday the 2nd, so those aren't available to students right now. So we have a new feature starting this summer, and it's drag and drop date setting. So to do that, we have to be on the calendar tab here. So I don't know if you've noticed, but when I'm navigating through XYZ, I'm not using the back button. I'm trying to use the tabs up here. So I'm going to click on the calendar tab, which at first just looks like a big view of the calendar, and that's what it is. But now we have this option to enable drag and drop editing. So now if we want to change the due date for something, every assignment has 2 dates associated with it, a due date and a start date. If you highlight either one of those, its partner will also be highlighted. So I'm highlighting the start date for 1.5, and you can see down below the system highlighted the due date for 1.5. So if I wanted to change 1.3 to not be due Thursday but to be Friday, we just drag it over there. If I want Chapter 1 review to be extra day, I just drag it over there. So there's automatically changed as we drag them. We don't have to save it, and then you can see it's reflected. So drag and drop, very convenient for adjusting dates during the semester once you have kind of a ballpark dates in mind on your calendar. So those are kind of the big features. I guess I didn't go over how students enroll, but it's very straightforward. Everybody has a unique course ID. It's 5 digits. Students come to XYZ Homework. They fill out a short registration page, just their name, email, and a password, and then they log in. Once they do that, they start a 15-day free trial. So no excuses for not doing your homework the first 2 weeks of school. And then they self-enroll with the course ID that each individual instructor gives them. So what kind of questions do you have?
What is the question editing like right now, as far as what the instructors are able to do? Or one thing, my math lab, allows instructors to create their own questions, but I think their system is kind of tedious.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering what the layout and how that looks as far as XYZ goes.
Yeah, so we've got that turned off for most people just because uh, it's created a lot of work for us cleaning stuff up. So our preferred method
Mm,
is having us do that work for you. So if there was a certain question that you wanted, if there was a worksheet of a certain type of question, we could code those in, make them algorithmic for you. If your group wanted a certain different treatment of, I don't know, inequalities, we would code those in and make those available for you as well. If at a certain
okay.
point there was a reason for you to want to do this yourself, we could certainly turn that on and allow you to go to town. Um,
Okay.
what kind of things do you have in mind?
Uh, I don't have anything in mind per
Okay.
se right now, specifically. It
Yeah.
just from time to time that comes up when you just maybe just want to
Yeah.
make sometimes just a small edit to a question or
Yeah. So, see, this is so a lot of the questions come from a different source, but we've made them so they'd have to come from here. So I click on the ancestor, and you can kind of see the code here. It's got the black background. The top half is kind of how it's set up, and the code behind it, all the logic, and then this bottom half is the question text. This is what the student sees. So it solves for y. You can see y is a variable here, defined up here. Um, so non-zero random number between -5 and 5. The answer type is going to be calculated. Uh, so this is what it looks like. I always hesitate to show
gotcha.
this to people because if they're not expecting something like this, it can be a little bit overwhelming. Um, but that's but we do have extensive question writing help. We have different libraries for different question types. So uh, if that's something you're interested in, we can certainly help write them for you or help you get started with the extensive documentation as well and kind of go over some best practices. But that would be obviously a different training, but certainly something that we're
Sure.
open to.
Sure.
Oops. Okay. Um,
So can you just go over one more time the pricing structure? So if students do an online version only,
mhm.
then it's a 12-month subscription, and they can take as many classes during that 12 months as they want to. Um, and what's the price for the 12 months?
Exactly. Yes, you said that exactly right. So if they buy the all access pass, so most students will start with a 15-day free trial because they don't want to wait line at the bookstore. They're not sure what to get, so they come to class. You give them the instructions. They log in, so they have their 15-day free trial. So if a student's on financial aid or for some other reason they need to buy it from the bookstore, there's going to be a markup from the bookstore. We sell it to the bookstore for the same $45. We sell it to the student. 90% of the students just activate their account directly from us. A very simple process, and the price is $45. And that's for a full year, unlimited courses, unlimited ebooks. Yeah, subscription. So right now we're the only ones doing this. We think more people are going to be doing this, but we're happy they're not right now. Our customers really like it, and the students do as well. Now, if the student was to buy a new book, they get the same full year access. So the all access pass and a new book have the same exact um, digital components, simply that the textbook includes the textbook. Everything else is the same.
Okay, gotcha.
Let's see. So, questions about the books themselves. I don't know if you had a chance to look them over. No, a student retaking the course will not pay again. A student retaking the course or taking the next course within that 12 months won't have to pay. And if they buy a second year, currently it's $20. It's going up to $25 in a couple months. So they get that second year at only $25, not the $45. What was I going to say? So intermediate, this is the newest book. It's a Turner book. It's a hardcover book for $98. We also have the book with the mountain on it, $68. This is one of our better selling books. This one's just a little bit newer. For college algebra, the college algebra book here, a little bit lower level college algebra book. This pre-calculus book is a pretty mainstream book, and we're coming out with a college algebra version of this pre-calculus book, where I think we just take the trig out and some other things. So that's going to be available. Obviously, if you're looking at an online only, you can mix and match. We can put something together, mixing and match sections from the different books or chapters from the different books, however you please. And we're happy to help with that entire process, make suggestions, whatever you need to get started or have your questions answered. We usually, for larger schools or for any school that's going to use kind of a coordinated course, will help create a group template or a department template. And then once that's created, we can either copy those into the different instructors' courses, or instructors can copy it themselves. Kind of helps with the setup, saves people some time. Any other questions on price, textbooks?
I came in late. Can you hear me?
Oh, hello. Is this Gary?
I can hear you, Gary.
Yes. Can we access this from an LMS?
Yeah, so we do have, it's LTI compliant from the course settings. I can't speak exactly to it, but we're LTI compliant. We have a number of users using XYZ with Canvas right now, and we have some documentation to make that work. But yeah, LTI is the protocol or the way that all these systems talk to each other.
Right.
What LMS are you using?
Well, what I'm changing, is it, I forget which, Canvas?
Yeah, most people are calling it Canvas.
Nathan?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a number of.
I haven't tried it.
Canvas.
Great. Okay, I have to go, so I'm out.
All right. All right. Well, thank you for your
Gary.
time. Yeah, custom textbooks. In fact, here's our main site catalog, and then at the bottom of this page are all the custom textbooks that we've created. So unlike a lot of publishers, we do our own composition. So those teams are in-house, so we work very closely creating the custom books along with the custom homework templates. So these are books that we've customized. We do generally charge a little bit more for the custom books than the regular books because it's a more valuable product, we think. But yeah, we're very good at custom. These are going to be full color books. The page numbers are going to be in order. The chapter is going to be in order. They'll usually have an index, and a lot of times the cost is dependent on page count. So this book, this blue book for Rhodes State, this is a 3-semester book. It starts at basic math and goes through the end of pre-algebra. So that's a pretty expensive book, whereas sometimes we'll just do a supplement with 10 or 15 sections of different chapters. and those can be as low as $20, as you can see. So price is going to be a function of page count for these custom books. Anything else I can answer? Just kind of what you were expecting?
Yeah, I think you've answered all of my questions, I believe. And I'm sure, if I have any other questions, I can just reach out to you.
Absolutely. Yep. So the same email address that we sent the invite from, support XYZ Homework. The whole team sees that. Answer on weekends and evenings too. So it's a great email for questions. And then a support number. Probably don't have support questions yet, but that would be for teachers and students that are using the products as well. But great. Well, we appreciate your time today. I think Bruce is sending you some hardcover review copies. Is that correct? I'll reach out to him and make sure.
Okay, yeah. I think I have the college algebra, the first college algebra book you showed. The second one, I think we may have that too, actually. So I think I have those, the pre-calculus one that you're trimming down into college algebra. I think we have those.
Okay. Yeah, it's got the fish on.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's it. And the recording, you'll send a link to the recording so that
I will.
Can pass this along. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Great. Right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much. Victoria, do you have any other questions? Oh, could you send a review copy for intermediate as well?
Sure. Yep. I'll have Bruce do that. Absolutely. Great.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Patrick.
Wonderful. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you.